people on their bikes on the dirt trails, and I see plenty of tracks. So I know that even if I don't see them riding by me, there's evidence of plenty of bikes going by. Mayor Barry has come out and said, I want to be able to ride through the Bosque, and like I don't want to hit some sand and my axle goes down and then I got to walk. So my feeling is if there's a patch of sand and you got to walk a few feet, you know, that's okay. We're bikers, we're athletic. We can walk a few feet through a patch of sand. We don't need a 10-foot wide pressure-fine trail just for us. And I'd like to welcome now someone to address a very important issue, and that is the Paseo del Bosque bike trail has a pedestrian shoulder on it. What we would like to see done is improve that pedestrian shoulder so it's more friendly for pedestrians. Right now, if people are walking their dogs are getting filled with goat heads, and so they're walking on the bike trail proper, which of course creates a little bit of friction with the high-speed cyclists. So here to talk a little bit about that possibility is Jennifer Bunce. Thank you, Jennifer.
Hi, everybody. So I'm Jennifer Bunce, and I'm with the Duke City Wheelmen. And we first became an organization that places the ghost bikes that you might have seen around town. And since that time, our organization has grown, and we've gotten active in a lot of different things. And one of the things that I wanted to let you guys know is that your Rio Grande Vision and our 50-mile bike loop are both part of the ABQ, the plan, right? And they both have identical problems, so you're not alone. You're more organized, but you're not alone. We have all the same complaints. We have, we've seen like a shifting, nebulous aim for the plan or the project, and I heard somebody say earlier you can't really even call it a plan, and that's right. And the 50-mile loop is no different. We have had problems exactly like yours in advocacy organizations not being consulted as this thing was coming together. So we understand a lot more than you might realize about these difficulties. In being able to come here today, I wanted to say that, you know, from my biology background, I'm not in favor of putting more especially paved bike paths out there. And a 10-foot crusher fine, I'm not in favor of that either. And I may be in the minority of cyclists, but there again, that's another problem, right? We have a not well-informed public opinion that drives some of what's going on. And I think if more cyclists understood, they would agree. And that's one of the issues, right, is getting the word out and really helping people make informed decisions, not just say, oh, do you want another bike path? Well, of course they're going to say yes, right? But not understanding the cost and not understanding what the trade-offs are. My strongest opinion about bicycling in Albuquerque is that we really need to focus on getting people out on a bike for short errands. Short errands, like say up to 5 miles, are the best use of a bike. They reduce pollution, traffic, parking, all those problems, right? They reduce wear and tear on vehicles. They cut your expenses. They give you a little bit of exercise, and you know, a little bit's better than nothing, and if it fits into your day because it's part of your errands, hey, all the better, right? So I would have, for my ABQ, the plan, a bike component that really focused on what do we need to get people out on those short trips. We need them to feel safe, we need them to be educated, we need the motorists around them to be educated, and we need some infrastructure work. You've ridden on a bike lane and it disappeared at the intersection, right? Okay. The worst, that's the most dangerous spot, and then you got no help, right? So there are lots and lots of ways that cycling could be made better in Albuquerque. And the way that these two projects come together is that we need to move cyclists off that paved path on the Bosque onto Rio Grande and other venues, because those are not bike paths. Those are multi-use paths. Those are MUPs, right? And really, they should belong to the children and the training wheels. You know, they should not be in the control of high-speed cyclists. But a lot of those cyclists are uncomfortable on Rio Grande. And, you know, the bike lane is completely disheveled all the way from Central to Griegos, right? and it's too narrow, and the traffic speed is too high. I'm preaching to the choir probably here, but so my plan would be to bring these things together and help the Bosque by recognizing that just like the Bosque, which is a finite resource, a multi-use path is also a finite resource. And we need to work to shift people off of that who can, are competent to move off that path. Give them better options and let people enjoy the Bosque for nature's sake instead of like exercise or transportation's sake. And so I think that we could incorporate the component of the 50-mile loop, not the 50-mile loop, but a component of a bicycle plan for Albuquerque together with making the Bosque safe for the Bosque and the other multi-use path users, right? And still having bicycling thrive in Albuquerque. I'm really not in favor of the current trend towards drive and bike. Do you know what I mean? You drive your bike to the path to ride it. That is not a bicycle-friendly city. So it's sort of on that vein that I approach this issue. And I would love to continue to work with you guys so that we can come up with the best way forward for the Bosque, for Albuquerque, for bicyclists. There are win-wins out there for us to find. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, all of us here are in favor of trying to keep the Bosque as open space, natural open space. This is not the kind of place where you might want to come barbecue with the family and throw a football around. There's other places for that. But we want to address the fact that we need places where we can get together and maybe do stuff that's more explicitly recreational in terms of groups, throwing a football, that kind of thing. We have with us today Thane Padilla. He'll be talking about exploring some of the different ways that we could improve recreational opportunities in our communities without going into the Bosque and trying to claim it as part of the city. Thane Padilla.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, staying on into the dark and listening to the comments. And I really appreciate the comments that I've been hearing. And I'm going to actually encourage you to think on what Alex just said. And I'm going to touch on that. And just a final rally point on my part and representing Ole and other communities out here. The poet Priscilla Candelaria earlier expressed something about what Alex is saying. And I would like all of you, as if you know anybody in other communities, especially in the Valley, and you can think of people whose voices aren't actually being expressed yet or out here yet. It's very important. It's very important for the South Valley communities to have a say in what's happening. And their parks could use expansion and improvement, if we're to use the words that the city uses for the state park. So I really want us to be understanding, and it's too easy to say, you know what, okay, people are too busy in those communities or this community or that community because they're trying to put food on the table or what. That won't do for me. I'm from New Mexico, from multi-generational family. I'll say it again. You've probably already heard me say that. And let's appreciate the facilities we have, like people have demonstrated tonight, and keep supporting the improvement of those, and awareness of the open space center that now exists, but the Albuquerque and the Rio Grande Nature Center. I love to visit that, and I love to take people there from out of town. And I just want to ask anybody else that can show up tomorrow at 2 for the City Hall letter delivery. I'm inviting you to join us. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be very good to help, not encourage, but I really think it's important that Mayor Barry is accountable and responds here in this discussion. So, thank you.
Thank you, Thane. The next thing I'd like to talk about is serious as life and death. We're talking about access for the disabled to enjoy the beauty and the treasure that we have in the Bosque. And for those of us that can walk without any problems, of course the trails are fine. The argument for Mayor Barry is, how do we allow those that are impaired to also enjoy this wonder? Now, I suffered a very serious accident several years ago, and I couldn't walk for a couple months, and then when I could finally move around, it was in a wheelchair. And I can tell you this, and other people have agreed with me. We do not like crusher fine trails and gravel trails in a wheelchair. I'll just tell you that right now. You may not think it. You may think, well, that's great, but actually, hard packed dirt and earth is far better, far less rolling resistance. So just keep that in mind. Now, granted, after a rain, you're going to have some problems. But the issue with the Bosque is that it can't be all things for all people. That's just the reality. So we are in favor of creating areas that can be accessed, rain, wind, sun, snow, right? You got to use some asphalt and to get to the river's edge, but it has to be extremely minimal. We're by no means saying that we have to open up the entire area to asphalt. It's just, it's too intrusive, too invasive, and it's too damaging, and ultimately it's just not natural, and that's what we want to try and keep in the Bosque. Here today to speak further about these issues is Sarita Strang. Thank you, Sarita.
Alex, since it's getting a little dark, I might ask you to hold the mic so I can look at this.
Fair enough.
I'm Sarita Strang, and I'm part of the Bosque Action Team. I'm also finishing a master's degree at UNM as an occupational therapist, and I'm focusing on mobility issues and wheelchair access and fitting. And I've been polling people for the past 2 weeks who live in wheelchairs in Albuquerque, and none of them were up for public speaking tonight, but I'm going to try and represent what they had to say. And every single person that I spoke with, it has not been a formal survey yet, did want to have minimal environmental impact. So speaking on behalf of many people, we want more ADA access to the Bosque. We also want access that reflects what the citizens of Albuquerque with disabilities would most value. We believe that input from a citizens committee of people with disabilities is of utmost importance to help inform decisions about Bosque access. This citizen input is as or more important than reading the ADA AG law guides. So a lot of people were saying we really need to go down there on a field trip with some conservation biologists and a design team, and everybody's going in a wheelchair. We would like for the ADA access to be as environmentally conscious as possible. There are more and more models around the country working on these issues, some which could provide models for us. We believe that people with disabilities, mobility experts, such as occupational and physical therapists, conservation scientists, and designers can work together to find creative ways for people with mobility challenges to enjoy and access the Bosque, and at the same time focus on keeping the Bosque mostly wild. And again, everyone I've spoken with said it's really important to talk with the people that live in Albuquerque, not a general ADA access guide. So thank you.
Thank you, Sarita. Just note we have a couple more speakers.
About what she was saying. I just want to point out, not everybody that's disabled is in a wheelchair. And I enjoy the Bosque by riding horses because I can't walk very long because I'm an oxygen. Right? So them developing it locks me out.
That's correct. That's a good point. Thank you. There will be opportunity for community comments, and we would like to hear more from you, Don. The next speaker is Tony Anella. This is a critical aspect of our discussion. It's to talk about how central the Bosque is to our identity as Albuquerqueans. It's the heart of us. It's the heart of our city. It's the place that we look at when we come into the Sunport. We look out the window, and that tells us, hey, I'm home. And here to speak more about that is Tony Anella. Thank you, Tony.
I'll keep it really brief, and so we don't get too wet. Every one of us here tonight is here because we love the Bosque. Some of us love it because the Bosque is a quiet place and a calm place to calm our mind and focus on what is truly important in life. Some of us love it because of how our spirits are lifted by the sound of the many birds that migrate through the Bosque. Some of us love it because of how it makes us feel part of the larger whole. It is our home. It is part of who we are. The Rio Grande Bosque is one of those special places in Albuquerque that allows us to distinguish ourselves from the homogenizing influence of franchise America. We know we are home when we can rest our gaze on the ocean-like expanse of the horizon that is our West Mesa. We know we are home when we can watch our Sandia Mountains turn watermelon red with the setting sun. And we know we are home when we can watch the changing colors of the Bosque, from the light green of spring to the deep green of summer, the gold of autumn, and the gray of winter. In this uncertain age of climate change, there is solace and hope in knowing that our beloved Bosque is being protected. We need to keep it that way.
Thank you, Tony. Our next speaker is Elaine. Elaine, are you? Oh, there she is. She's coming.
Thanks, Alex. I know it's raining. I know it's late. I just want to really thank the organizers for taking the mayor up on keeping this plan going tonight. There has been a lot of differences in terms of little shell and nut sort of game going on. But if you looked at the actual project that was up on the board in front of us last time, 2 weeks ago, it did not match with what was written in the vision. It did not include these processes for consulting with all these different agencies, etc. So I have 2 points to make tonight. One, we need to slow this whole process down so that we can talk about how we might best manage the Bosque together. And 2, can we afford this? We have librarians and zoo people who are being paid with bond money on an annual basis. Why not make sure that we're paying for the quality of life activities that we've already, obligations that we've already taken on? If you look on the Biopark's website, there's an $18 million infrastructure backlog, which has accumulated because we keep on taking on new projects and not managing to deal with what we've got. So I think slow it down. And then the last thing I want to say is let's talk about how we can improve opportunities for recreation, such as adopting a very much more broad scale Dia del Rio, or perhaps talking to some of the communities that would be impacted if we close the Tingley levee off for the weekends and let people recreate on that. So I think there's a lot of other opportunities that we can afford that would not damage the Bosque. And by the way, if we take on restoration, it's not just a one-year project. It's not just going to cost us $2.9 million. It's ongoing, and we already have Army Corps of Engineers, the Endangered Species Collaborative Program, the Bureau of Reclamation, and MRGCD doing river restoration and bosque restoration. So do we really need to take this on? Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. Next up, we have, well, I'll just preface this briefly. Some of you may be here because you're learning about the features of the Bosque for the first time and you're wanting to know more about different ways to go out and explore the Bosque. And so tonight we have We have Julie Wild, who will be talking. She's with the Sierra Club. She'll be talking about public outings that the Sierra Club goes out on to introduce the public to the gem that we have here in the Bosque. Thank you, Julie.
Oh, really? He's making me hold this by my face so they can see me on the video. Oh my. Hi, I'm Julie Wilt. I'm with the Sierra Club. We are going to be starting some regular outings down in the Bosque area to introduce people to the treasure that we have there. What we're looking for is we're looking for people to help lead those outings. We'd like to start doing this on a very regular basis, and we'd like to have your help. So if you're interested in doing that, you can contact me. My contact information is on our website, or you can call the office. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Next up is our director, chapter head, Camila Feibelman.
Hey, you guys. So it is dark, but we have not been rained upon. So Andrea and I did not want to let the night pass without people having the opportunity to say what they want to say. What we are going to ask is at the end if people can help us gather up the chairs and put them in the back area here, help us fold up the tables and put them up. But anybody who would now like to share their comments, we are totally open to that. We're going to impose the same 3-minute limit on you. So is there anybody else who has not had an opportunity to make a point that hasn't already been made? That feels very strongly about anything in particular?
I just have a question.
Come up and say your question, and then we'll get it answered. Okay.
So I came late, so I'm sorry if you guys already went over this. Where can I see the plan that Mayor Berry has put out? Is it on the website? Where on cabq.gov? And also, I guess that was my only question. I thought I had another one. I forgot.
All right, Andrea, where can we find the plan?
It is on the city website. If you go to Albuquerque, the plan, you can also do a Google search. Just Rio Grande Vision is a really easy way to find it. And then it pulls up the front page of it. And you actually, if you start clicking around on the links, you start to get lots of really good information. And it's all the back slides as well that shows the original plan, which included, you know, the restaurants and the boardwalks, and how it sort of moved forward from that. Oh, RioGrandeVision.com is what Richard Barish just told me. Thank you, Richard.
One thing I wanted to add too is we've got these Bosque Te Quiero Bosque stickers. They're only $1 if you'd like one. We also had a couple of announcement requests. The Keystone Pipeline people have a demonstration at UNM Friday at 11 on the south entrance of the Student Union. There's a workshop on coexisting with coyotes, and there's someone here collecting signatures against coyote killing contests. So those are all harmonious things going on. So that presentation is October 19th at 10:30 at the Nature Center. Anybody else have any comments that they'd like to make or things they'd like to share? Yes.
Hi there.
So I'd just like to remind people that Albuquerque has a pretty extensive open space and parkland system, and in fact we're ranked #1 in the nation for parkland and open space as a percentage of city land. So the pressure to turn the Bosque into a city park, it makes no sense. There's plenty of city parks, plenty of other parks that could be used for recreation, and exchanging this wonderful wild resource to become an urban park. It does make sense to me.
And what's your name? Bob? Bob Tilley? Thank you, Bob. And we have another question here in the front. And
Yeah, well, it's kind of odd to me that the Army Corps of Engineers just finished building some viewing platforms just south of Central, and they're fairly easily accessible from Tingley Beach area. Some of the paths have been somewhat hardened with a little bit of the crusher fines, so I didn't get stuck on my bike in the mud. Also, there are some viewing blinds down there, some built wetlands for birds. People go down there and watch birds through the blinds that have just recently been built. So a lot of these features are already there. The other thing is, it would be really nice to have some public restrooms, but they need to be funded so that they can actually be kept open. Usually they build these things, lock the door, and walk away. So that's the usual state of that stuff. There's also a pretty good place to put an ADA loop on the west side of the Central Bridge, just north there. It's part of the Atrisco Trail. There have already been a couple of bridges put in there, and so it would be quite inexpensive to make that into an ADA trail, a loop that came from and we do need more parking over there, a better access point for folks, but this would give them folks that would appreciate that. There's also some benches that are in kind of natural alcove things, bowers, trees go over them. They're very shaded along this trail, and it would be very inexpensive to make that into a nice ADA loop with access to the river. There's also a boat ramp on the east side, which could have a hardened trail along it for access to the river on that side. So there are possibilities without, trashing very much area that could really improve access for a lot of people. A little signage would also help. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Is there anyone else who would like to share a thought? I know we're picking up chairs because those rain clouds are threatening. Anybody? Over there? Oh. And please introduce yourself.
My name is Radima Ashby. I came to the meeting on the 4th. I am so glad that people came together and didn't just dissipate after that meeting, that we came together as a community. Just because the mayor chickened out was no reason for us, to give up. And so thank you. It's very energizing.
Thank you so much, Rodima. And I think it's really, it's a great testament to see how many people are here. Did you want to make an announcement? Or give a thought? I'm sorry, give a thought.
Hi, my name is Lisa Roberts, and hello to all my cousins. What I was going to say is that along with the other lady who spoke about bicycles, and there is a real need for bicycle advocacy and stuff, I think that a lot of people who ride bikes at great speed really do need to get off that trail along the river, because it's really a multi-use trail. It's good for teaching you children the rules of the road, but if you really want to zoom, you need to be on somewhere else, and there's lots of somewhere else's. For those of you who don't realize it, the 50-mile loop exists all over Albuquerque. You just have to find your road and ride the rules. And if you see people on bikes and they don't seem to be doing what they ought to, give them a break. They're on a very fragile vehicle, and it's really, really difficult once you've been hit to get up and go along. And quite frankly, it's appalling how many New Mexicans in Albuquerque have been hit crossing the street or riding a bike or on a motorcycle. So watch out for the fragile vehicles. Watch out for people on foot. If they're being an idiot, it's not a capital crime. Don't hit them. Remember, if you would brake for a dog, brake for someone on a bike, because it might just be that they're having a bad day, or that they don't see well, or that they're just tired. And as a person who rides a bike, I always try to follow the rules, but I have to say, if I've been driving very much, I tend to start running those yellow lights on my bike. Anyway, I'll see ya. Thanks.
Thank you so much. It's a great reminder to share the road and our multi-use paths. Are there anyone else who wants to make a comment or ask a question? Please come up.
My name's Tammy Brunk, and I was not here for the whole thing, but I just, I know I would never be able to live in Albuquerque without the Bosque. It's the heart of the whole city, and I go there almost every day, and I can't even number the name of species that are out there. We all know this, but I think that it should be the people who are really intimately connected to the intricacy of these ecosystems that should be really the guiding force behind how these things might be designed. And that to me is the big problem, that in the plans that were already laid out, and this happens so frequently, they're already laid out as though it's inevitable. I'm so glad that this community didn't accept that, but that those plans aren't created with those individuals with the greatest intimacy of the complexity of these ecosystems at the table making those decisions. And so it's really heartening to me to see that enough people are speaking to the primacy of the health of the ecosystem as a whole instead of making it into an urban park.
Thank you so much. Anyone else to make a comment or ask a question or share some thoughts? Welcome.
Please introduce yourself.
I'm Mary Duchesne with the Friends of the Valle de Oro National Wildlife Refuge. I just wanted to point out that there will be opportunities, including on the refuge site, for the development of other visitor services. That's what the National Wildlife Refuge will help do, along with restoring a large bosque section and some wetlands. So we are having a planning meeting on September 28th, and I'm sorry I can't announce that to more people, but it should be in the emails that are going around. You're all welcome to attend.
Thank you so much. Do we have anybody else who'd like to speak? Great. Now, did everybody sign the sign-in sheet? Is there anybody who didn't sign in? Okay, and then if any of you who are not on the listserv, will add you. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. And we will keep that bosque porque te quiero bosque. Good night, everybody. Round of applause. Woo! And it looks like we have one more announcement from Andrea.
One more time, tomorrow at 2 o'clock, or a little bit before 2, we'll be gathering in Civic Plaza on the west side of the plaza, closer to City Hall. And we're going to have a few folks give some remarks, and then together we'll go up and we'll deliver the letters. We probably won't see the mayor. We'll probably see his secretary. We'll be really respectful of the secretary, because secretaries make the world go round. And we'll ask for the mayor, and we'll deliver the letters. And so if you have any questions, look up the Olay Facebook. So Olay, Organizers in the Land of Enchantment. We'll have information on there. And talk to me. I'll still be here running around. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight. Thank you, all the organizations and speakers. Have a good night.